hopefully the powers that be won't be too upset at me.
Yeah, it's probably fine. I did see cut the tail end of the Beavers game. What a shame.
Yeah, I know, right? Absolute sham. College football has become true travesty.
Here, let me tag everyone. We are live, but I got to get the link here. Boom. Alrighty, we'll give everyone a minute or two to get in here.
All right.
Probably have that open for. Oh no, the chat's on the side here. I love that about StreamYard. I can see like the chat on StreamYard.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, kind of like Restream had like on the, but Restream is like a separate thing you had to use.
Yeah, no, this one
all
is
the
like this one, for example, like comments come up and then I can like show them on stream and stuff. It's
nice,
really nice. You can't see that?
It's like on the right, like private chat and comments.
Yeah. Well, no. Yeah, comments.
Let's see. Where's my computer?
Time to take down the Minimax. Yes, sir. Love a Minimax.
Except for the Minimax where it's like 800,000 entries. Where, I mean, you may as well just go buy Mega Millions at that point.
Yeah, I mean, I like to play the Minimax for Showdown sometimes if like I don't want to play any chalk and I want to play like just the most disgusting lineups and I don't have to feel bad about it.
Yeah. FanDuel actually has a really good Minimax this week. They have the
$3.
It's like, it's overlays guaranteed and it's like a 50-50 or top 50% get paid.
Yep, I am maxed on that. That's a great contest. I'm playing the power sweep on DK, like the 3 max $150, but then like all my other volumes on FanDuel this week, they got a lot of good contests. Yeah. All right, we got our folks in here. The show is live. Blaine and I back for week 2. I guess we want to recap week 1 at all, or like talk about what went on during week 1. And
if you want to, I mean, it's probably worth mentioning that was the lowest passing yardage, like the 5th lowest passing yardage by any week and since like 1999 or something crazy.
Mm-hmm. And then we saw with QB scoring that 4 out of the 5 top QB scorers were run first quarterbacks, or like quarterbacks with rushing upside. So, I mean, that might be something to look forward to in week 2. Like, is that going to continue? Like, our pocket passers done for DFS? I don't think so, but that's a trend we could see. Where running quarterbacks get a lot more ownership and typically score higher. But
yeah, personally, I think it's more nobody plays in preseason anymore, and like especially with a lot of the modern passing is all about timing.
Yeah,
and making sure your timing is dialed in between your quarterbacks and receivers. And I feel like week 1, it wasn't there for most teams. And the other thing too is like a lot of quarterbacks that could have had big games, for whatever reason, the game state just didn't work out for them. Like Darnold is a good example. We were on that Darnold Jefferson stack.
Yeah.
Jefferson caught the early TD, and it seemed like Darnold and Jefferson was going to be the play. And then the Giants' offense was so bad that they just couldn't keep Darnold and Jefferson on the field.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to run that back because Sam Darnold, for who he is and everybody's opinions of him, like he looked kind of fine. And ownership this week, we'll get into it, but ownership on the guys up top, I mean, it's really concentrated on like CD Lamb, on some Niners players. Cooper Kupp obviously grabbing a ton of ownership, but Justin Jefferson is coming in like single digits, expecting to be overlooked, which I don't blame them against like a Niners defense, but it's going to be a spot that I think I'm going to be overweight on.
Yeah. Yep. I agree there.
Speaking of your Niners, do we want to talk about some of the chalk on the slate and the goings on?
Jordan Mason?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, we saw it on Showdown, right? CMC, quote unquote, late scratch. Whether he was actually a late scratch or not, well, I guess we won't know for a while, but out this week nonetheless. So Jordan Mason's going to step into that role at 5,200 salary. Did well against the Jets on the Showdown slate. Is that somewhere you want to get to this week on the main slate?
Well, 52. I mean, Yes and no. I mean, 52% is just I think that's what I have him projected for. And that for on DraftKings, that's pretty.
Let me
I don't know.
reset
He has a
it.
solid floor. I feel like I'm fine paying even on super large field contests. I'm fine playing him if my lineups get there. Um, he showed a little bit of ability to catch the ball last week, and I mean the floor in a Shanahan offense, the offensive line has looked better in week 1 for the Niners than it did towards the end of last year. They're really happy with Clooney, the right guard, the rookie. So, I mean, I'm fine with playing into that chalk with him and Debo for that matter. There's just so much volume that it's soaked up by those two, especially when McCaffrey's out.
Yeah, we saw an increase in targets and rushing attempts for Debo when CMC was out, and I think that's going to continue. So, like between Mason and Debo, you're looking at probably like 40 plus attempts, which for their combined salary is kind of hard to pass up. Whether you're stacking them with Purdy or not, I mean, playing those two together in the same lineup is just a good way to soak up like probably 70+% of the volume on the offense or touchdown equity as well.
Yeah. Yep. And the fun thing about the Niners is, I mean, they're really easy to stack. I mean, they're hard to stack because you don't know who's going to pop off, but you know that there's just going to be so much volume now with between Ayuk, Debo, and Kittle. If the Niners score points, which it seems like they are against this Vikings defense, one of them is going to have a big game, and so you can create different combinations of stacks with them and feel pretty comfortable with any one of those players.
Yeah, I mean, salary pretty soft across the Niners. Not a single receiver over 7. Purdy at 6,100 is a pretty cheap quarterback. Mason obviously not quite priced for the role he's going to get.
Yep, we got to stop talking about them because people are going to start thinking I'm a homer.
Yeah. Other chalk we got on the slate is Breece Hall, who kind of emerged again on that showdown as like just a do-it-all workhorse back. So now I'm going to start sounding like an Iowa State homer, but I mean, this is kind of the guy that Breece Hall is. Like he can handle 20 plus touches a game, receptions, and he looks to be utilized in the Jets offense quite a bit. And they put up a respectable performance against the Niners, I would say. And now they go to play the Titans, Vrabel-less Titans. And I mean, 45% is quite a heavy number on Breece Hall, but at 7,400, I don't think you're going to find, well, maybe outside of Kyron, who we'll talk about again with Chalk, but it's going to be hard to find a running back at that price who gets the workload that he gets.
Yeah, I mean, he's a really good player, obviously. The volume is there for him, but I get that Clint Eastwood holding the mug kind of shake when I see a 45% on $7,400 running back on
right,
DraftKings
like,
with the full PPR.
Same ownership between him and Mason. Like I'm probably going to want to go Mason there. Like Mason probably won't kill you for being in the lineup and scoring 12 points, but Breece will. And then you have Kyron, who's just below him, or I mean, $600 cheaper than him, and he's going to have the same workhorse load that Breece is getting in a game with 8 more implied total and with a closer spread. So, and he gets passed down work. I mean, at the ownership, 18% versus 45, I'm liking Kyron a lot more than Breece Hall this week.
Yeah, I could see that. Also, the Jets only that's a 40 total in that Jets game. So like, yeah, he's gonna get volume for sure, but like there is a chance here that Rodgers throws 3 touchdowns and Breece Hall just gets yardage. Which would, I mean, at 7,400, I personally would much rather pay down a little bit at running back, the 5 and 6K range paired with Mason, and pay up for some of these elite receivers.
Yeah, I'm with you there. We got some studs up top in the receiving that I want to get to. Speaking of Rams Cardinals, it's going to be a pretty popular game environment this week. No Puka for the Rams. We saw Cooper Kupp get 20 targets in that game.
Yeah.
I mean, he looks good. He looks like a really good receiver. And we've got like a bunch of cheapies on the Rams too. We can talk about as far as receiving options, but it's going to be the Kyron Williams and the Cooper Kupp show. Kind of like what we said with Mason and Debo, where most of the volume is going to be running through them on the offense. It's going to be the same way with the Rams here with Cooper and Kyron. You will see targets for Demarcus Robinson and Tyler Johnson and Colby Parkinson, but not nearly the level that Cooper and Kyron will get.
Yep, and Cooper Kupp is one of the elite receivers I was just talking about. I mean, pretty obvious smash play for him.
Mm-hmm. He's just
loves scheming stuff for him.
that's probably it for like game environments. Unless, well, we could talk about
Tampa, Detroit is
yeah.
going to be that's going to be a popular game stack. I feel like because you get a lot of good receivers there too.
Yeah, it's one that I'm going to want to attack too. A good passing matchup on both sides, and get Mike Evans and Chris Godwin up there in the elite tier. I mean, for me, it's more Mike Evans this week than Godwin, especially given the ownership. But and on the Detroit side, we've got Amon-Ra coming in at 15%, which is respectable for him. But these are two teams in a high total game that if this came out as a triple or quad stack from either team or a game stack that won it all, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yep, agreed. Do you have any? What is the? Hey, no problem, Paul. What's the right word here? Do you have any urge to play the Burrow Jammer stack this week against Kansas City? I'm tempted.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. Like the upside is there for sure. Ownership is, I mean, basically none on these guys. I did not like what I saw out of Burrow. I mean, I know there's talks about his hand and is he ready to play? The team did not like the Bengals did not look good at all last week. I did not like anything I saw from them. And Yoshivas is going to come in again at like the Stone Min as a really popular option there. Which, I mean, he saw the targets. He didn't kill you for playing him last week. I think he either dropped a touchdown or had a touchdown opportunity that didn't go his way. But I mean, for me, I don't think I'm targeting the Bengals at all. I mean, I'll play some Chiefs stuff, and I don't even really like Mahomes that much this week. I'm probably only getting to Pacheco and maybe the defense on the KC side, but I don't hate playing Cincinnati stuff in really large field. I mean, the ownership's there. Jamar Chase is a freak. If he scores 30 points, I'm not going to be shocked, but I don't think I want to get any meaningful volume there.
Yeah. I mean, the thing to keep in mind with Cincinnati, the Burrow wrist injury is really weird. I mean, weren't they saying like this just doesn't happen to the throwers, like pitchers or quarterbacks? Is like some other type, like offensive linemen get that injury or something, like basically doesn't happen to quarterbacks. So it's scary. But I mean, it's a 1 week sample, right? And like if you look at the priors and what people were expecting from Cincinnati for the season, even knowing about the Burrow injury, you don't want to overreact to just what everybody saw in 60 minutes last week, right? And so Chase hasn't practiced all year. He gets one game of action to kind of get back into shape a little bit, and he has more upside than pretty much any other receiver. He's like in that elite tier of receivers that can have 300-yard receiving games that we've seen with him before. So I know I think there's validity to it, but now that I'm looking at some of my sim results, I mean they don't even show up. So I'd have to boost them somehow.
And if I am playing the Bengal stuff, it's probably just going to be Burrow plus Chase. I don't really like Andre Yoshivas is going to be such a popular one-off that I wouldn't even want to play him in my Bengal stacks. Like just Burrow and Chase will be a majority of the volume there. They're probably going to be playing from behind. I mean, any other year we'd be like itching to play a Bengals Chiefs game, right? Like these are like typically like just absolute banger games that go crazy, but
yeah, and the total is still 40. I think it's 47 and a half still.
Yep.
I mean, that's the second highest total on the board, or third highest total on the board behind the Rams and Lions games. So, the Rams and Lions games. So, I don't know. I think there's validity to it, and I would only run Yoshivas with Burrow if I was also stacking Chase. I would only do like in double stacks. I wouldn't single stack Yoshivas and Burrow together.
Yeah,
I just don't think Burrow gets there throwing to Yoshivas over and over.
No, right? He's not that kind of guy. I like what you said about week one. We're all excited to play football. We watch the first week, and now we think like we know everything the teams are going to do. We know like exactly how the offenses are going to play. We know exactly everything. And it's like, well, some things get game scripted out. Some teams play differently against other teams. Like just because like KC, for example, I was looking at Kelsey and Noah Gray. Like just because on week one, they were splitting routes and they were scoring pretty much the same in terms of fantasy points. Like I don't think you just start jamming Noah Gray and everything.
Yeah. Yeah. Now watch Noah Gray catch 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be a smash spot. Yeah. Well, let's get a sim set up and running. I've got the huddle selected. We'll go back and look at our players here.
Which one is the huddle?
This is the $5, like $23,000 single entry.
Okay.
So typically kind of bump ROI down, and then I'll start to throw in some like win percentage, top 1%, and then for me like ownership or projection.
Yeah. For NFL, I don't worry about my weights have been about 70 to 80% ROI, nothing on projection, 5 on ownership, 5 on top 1%, and the rest on win percentage.
Yeah, I kind of like that. So let's go like 95, 5. We'll do 85, 5, 5, 5.
For MLB, I keep weight on projection just so that way, like more. I mean, there's more variance, so the projection matters less, but it kind of keeps the better hitters, I think, in lineups at the top when you keep a little weight on projection with our sims.
Yeah, I'm with you there. So let's kick this off and get this running. And then while this is running, we're going to go and take a look at get lineups. So,
all right, so what are we going to stack? Who we got to choose who we're going to boost here?
Yeah, I kind of like targeting like either that Niners stack with like Purdy, Mason, Debo, or either of the Tampa Bay or Detroit games or teams. Right. So let's go in here, click on the NFL Classic, and we have our main slate here. And you want to look at the bigger contest here, maybe?
Yeah, that's fine.
Let's build a Millie Dart. Why not, right?
Yeah.
So you have any opinions on either like
let's do the Minnesota, San Francisco. Nice. Let's do Darnold, Jefferson, Mason, Debo. Let's do a full 4-player game stack. I think.
Yep. Let's see there. Debo, boom. I like that.
And Mason will probably pop up to the top in these lineups.
Yeah, we'll get plenty of Mason just from the value, and obviously we're swinging for the fence on the Millie here, so might be interesting to see sort of what we get out of here. But
hopefully it works too.
I mean, how many times have you looked at like the Millie Maker winning lineup and like had to hold your nose while you're looking at it just because it's like
the last week $5 DraftKings solo Millie winner was incredible. Yeah. What a lineup!
Yeah.
That person was blessed by God. I don't know how else to explain that one.
So we are going to redeem a code here so we can look at some of these. For Wolfpack, submit code. If you guys are just looking for like one lineup or 3 lineups, definitely check out Get Lineups. It'll basically allow you to select a contest, boost players you like or don't like, select your risk tolerance, and it'll spit you out a bunch of lineups with some AI summaries on why it's being selected, and you can see some of the stats here. So here's one of our stacks. We've got the Purdy, Mason, Debo. No Justin Jefferson coming back on it. So, I mean, if I'm targeting that game, I definitely want to play it with like a Justin Jefferson or maybe, I don't even know, like, is there anybody else on the Vikings you want to go to in that game other than Justin Jefferson?
Addison's out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just Jefferson for me. No Hawkinson either.
Yeah, just given the ownership on Justin Jefferson, like you're getting so much leverage over guys like CD and Cooper Kupp. Not that they probably won't have good games, but if they don't and Justin Jefferson has a good game, you're going to be leaping so many different lineups.
Here's a Darnold one.
Yeah, here's one. So we got Darnold, Mason, Debo, and Justin, and we've got Amon-Ra, who I like a lot this week. We kind of got like a mini Jets going on here with Breece Hall and Lazard, just saying that Aaron Rodgers keeps up the offense and they can kind of roll over the Titans.
I love the Packers EST look. That's spicy.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of A-rich lineups this week. We talked about the mobile quarterbacks going to be super popular, and obviously the Packers have got some situations going on in the QB room that a lot of people aren't really hot on their offense, and I don't blame them. But their defensive unit's not terrible, and they're going to be really low on this week.
Yep.
What else do we have here for that game environment? Here's a couple more Darnolds with the Mason and Justin. These ones don't have any receivers from the Niners, so maybe it's like a Niners get out front, score a couple of rushing touchdowns, and try to run the clock out, and then the Vikings are coming back through the air.
Yep, classic Kyle Shanahan move.
Yeah, no, for sure. There was a game.
That's absolute. There's that on the bottom left. If you scroll down,
this one.
That's a sicko $1 million lineup right there. If I've ever seen one.
Yeah, Tyler Johnson coming in as like the
wide pass catchers and the running back for the Niners. Tyler Johnson,
like a 50-0 Niners game. There was some Tampa Bay and Detroit stuff up here that I kind of liked. It's a great game environment. We got Baker, Godwin here, and then lower we've got a Goff and Amon-Ra here.
Yep.
Great stuff there. Yeah.
What's that Daniel Jones up in the middle? That one's pretty good.
Yeah, talking about mobile quarterbacks, we got Danny Dollars over here. I mean, look, neither the Giants or the Commanders can play defense, and we're not sure if they can play offense yet either, but that's not a terrible game if you want to get kind of weird with stuff. I would definitely, if I'm playing either of those teams, I want a game stack of them because I don't think it's like one team steamrolls the other. I think it's going to be, if that game does score well and there's pieces you need from it, it's going to be from both sides.
Yeah.
So like I would probably play something like this, but then I might want McLaurin coming back or somebody from the other side. Or if I was playing Jaden Daniels on the other side, I probably want like Malik Neighbors. I think he's probably going to be the only, if I want to run somebody back on like a commander stack, it's going to be Neighbors.
Right, Michael? No kidding, dude. McLaurin was so disappointing last week.
Yep. I mean, like you said, preseason wasn't really a thing this year, and offenses are kind of like stumbling and looking not great to begin with, and that's something that could turn around. Again, we have a 1 week sample size, which is not a sample size. Here's a player that I think we might want to talk about a little bit is Adonai Mitchell. Yeah.
Yep, that makes sense to me.
I mean,
just a dart.
Yeah, no, as a one-off, totally. I mean, last week he probably should have had, I think, 4 times the fantasy points that he actually recorded. A couple drop touchdowns, some called back receptions.
Yep.
So if you're playing A-Rich, I don't hate like a one-off with him. I'm not sure what's his ownership coming in at. If we take a look, are people he's going to be a lower price option too, like a pivot off of Andre Yoshivas.
Yeah,
Yeah, coming in with basically no ownership. So, and at 4K salary, if you're looking for a Yoshivas, what is he, 38? 38, yeah. Like if you got some salary room to work over with and you don't want to play Yoshivas, take a flyer on Adonai. I mean, he had so many opportunities to just crush last week, and it just didn't go his way.
Yep, I like it. I'd much rather play him at 1% owned versus Yoshivas at
all day. Speaking of cheapies too, like if we're looking for pivots on Yoshivas in that Tampa Bay game, I actually have a Baker stack with him. Where are my Buccaneers? I don't see him. There they are. We're looking at a guy here. Oops, I did the thing. Yep. I'm looking at Jalen McMillan as like, if I'm playing my Baker stacks, I don't want to play Evans and Godwin together. Not that they can't hit together, but more often than not, it's one or the other going off. And I've got a pivot. Yeah.
He's going to have kind of that same air yards profile as AD Mitchell. Rashid Shaheed, kind of the same.
Exactly.
Thing, but just maybe he catches 2 deep balls and he wins you the tournament, and maybe he just gets 1 target and that's it for the rest of the game. Yeah,
he's got that 80-yard 1-catch game in the bag like Rashid does too. I mean, although Rashid this year is a little bit different. He looks kind of good. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, right.
He looks like he might be a menace. I love playing him in that game environment. Like if I'm playing like a Dak CD sort of lineup, I love coming back with Rashid on the other side.
Yep.
So if you're looking for a pivot there, I mean, Mitchell and McMillan, I think, are 2 really good options that are going to be way less owned and have the same upside, if not probably more. Like Yoshivas isn't really that kind of, he doesn't have that profile of the other wide receivers. So,
yep.
Running through our sim fields here, so we got a few more minutes to talk about stuff. I did do some show notes. I did want to take a look. There was some chatter online about Patrick Mahomes and how he hasn't really put up like a fantasy winning score in forever.
Yeah.
And he's coming in with ownership this week. I think on DK he might be like the 2nd or 3rd highest owned quarterback, which I don't hate. I love playing KC stacks this week, but as a pivot from the popular backs in like this upper 6s, I think Kyron's around this area. Where's Pacheco at? 6,900 Pacheco. 8% compared to Kyron, I think, is around the same price, and it's going to be like 50% owned. Yeah, 68. Well, Kyron's not owned that much. I thought he'd be more owned, to be honest. But I like Pacheco this week.
I think that's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah, but I like Pacheco this week as sort of like a pivot off the KC pass game, or playing like a Pacheco plus a wide receiver with no Mahomes and just trying to capture some volume that way. But I mean, the Chiefs are going to put up points, and Pacheco is an incredible runner, so I'm trying to get him into some lineups, definitely more than 8%.
Yeah, I think there's an argument in large fields to not, if you're going to run Mahomes stacks with anyone in Kansas City, to just X out Yoshibas as the bring back for Cincinnati, because that's just like, that's such an obvious build, and you get the salary savings with Yoshibas.
Yeah,
I think Mahomes builds, if I'm using a bring back from Cincinnati, it's almost definitely going to be Jamar Chase.
yeah, I like that a lot.
Just use Mason for savings, and then find one or two other cheap receivers, maybe a cheap tight end. That'd be my Kansas City stack build. I do not want to be running unless like the Sims can find me some low-owned versions of that kind of stack. I just don't want to be playing Mahomes with the chalk cheap receiver coming back.
Yeah, I wanted to check on ownership in this Rams Cardinals game, because I knew Kyler Murray is going to be one of the higher owned QBs, obviously with mobile upside, where Stafford is like a pocket passer, but 3% for Stafford in a game where people are already playing Cup, they're already playing the cheap receivers, and they're already playing Kyron Williams. Like at that point, if you're playing 2 or 3 of those guys, throw Stafford in there, and just, at 3%, if he has one of his three touchdown, 300-yard games that he's liable for any day of the week, he's going to be a good option.
Yep. I was going to say on FanDuel, Kyler was popping in the large GPP sims I was doing, but not in the smaller field stuff for whatever reason.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Did you get more, I guess, like other mobile quarterbacks like Daniel Dimes and?
Yeah, I don't know how to share on StreamYard, but Darnold was popular like in the larger field. Stafford stacks were popular.
Yeah.
Kyler in the top 150 lineups I ran for this FanDuel contest. I think it's I don't remember which millie this is. It's not the lottery millie. Anyway, I got 31% Kyler for like a 3,000 person field, and then running like over 10,000 people fields on FanDuel, I was getting way less Kyler. I was getting more Stafford, Purdy, Darnold, and Daniel Jones. Sense. Yeah, the Daniel Jones Malik Neighbors if you're really a sicko.
Oh, for sure. So we got our sim ran here. Again, this is the 23,000 entry, single entry, $5. We got heaps of Jordan Mason all over. So let's do 150 to get a kind of better idea on exposure.
Yeah.
And still Jordan Mason, Breece Hall, way up top. And then we've got Yoshivas as the cheap wide receiver. Tons of Debo. Sims are liking Debo as far as that Niners environment. So tons of like Jordan Debo stacks. You hear all the noise going on in the background?
Yeah. Demarcus Robinson. That's pretty gross at 31%.
Yeah.
I would try to limit that personally. I mean, yes. I trust my math, but that seems aggressive.
So we look at, that's another area where we're looking at like those high 3s, low 4s receivers, and we want pivots from them that we talked about earlier. Yoshivas and DeMarcus are kind of those guys that I want to get off of and just go to other players that have the same upside, if not higher, but at, an eighth of the ownership.
Yep. Single
digit stuff. Let's do some filtering down here. Like we said earlier, we kind of liked the Sam Darnold stuff at 9%. I'm going to bump him up to like maybe 33 and apply that. Other areas we were looking at were the other side of that game with Brock. Again, we could bump that up, maybe get him in a third of these lineups and sort of see how that changes ownership. Tons of Breece Hall too, which I don't hate, but like we said, there's a lot of paths to failure there, and at the ownership he's garnering, it seems like more of a risk than I'm willing to take on. So he's a guy.
When we went to these, I don't want to say chalk, but more popular quarterback plays, Yoshibas's exposure dropped. Just want to point that out. That's what I was saying earlier about the Mahomes.
Yeah.
Mahomes stacking, just because the combinations are just too easy to get to using Yoshibas as the punt. Yeah,
so we can see here, turn Breece Hall down quite a bit, and he's still popping up in some of the top lineups, but as we go down, we'll see some more options. Aaron Jones is an interesting guy this week. He doesn't look that bad. Like he looks like he can run the ball.
No. And last year, the running game was the way to attack the Niners defense.
Yep.
So it wouldn't surprise me if they just Kevin O'Connell. He's a smart coach. He's one of the best coaches in the league. So it wouldn't surprise me if they are.
Didn't the Niners lose last time
heavy.
they played the Vikings?
Yeah, on Monday Night Football, I think.
Yeah.
I think it was a right. I was like when Purdy had that concussion thing last year for a few games, and he was just playing like absolute ass. It was during that stretch.
Yeah, so I'm almost tempted to go and just completely trash out Yoshivas and just see who else filters in. We might get some more Demarcus Robinson that we'll have to turn down, but
yeah,
we'll see how it goes. No, we can see our Justin Jefferson came up quite a bit. You know, as I set Sam Darnold min 33, we acquired more Jefferson, which is always nice to see.
You have an opinion on Colby Parkinson?
I don't think it's great chalk. So if you look at like tight end ownership this week, where's my tight ends? There we are. We've got Kelsey, Parkinson, and Akins up top, or like and McBride. I guess you could pull in there as options. I think
I feel way worse. I feel way worse about Jordan Akins than I do about Colby Parkinson, I think.
Oh yeah, I mean, gun to my head. I mean, even Amari Cooper this week is a guy that like I'm not sure I even want to be involved in the Browns offense. And then you're going to Jordan Akins out of everybody. Like if you're going to play somebody on the Browns, play Amari Cooper. Don't play Jordan Akins.
Yeah, I agree. And the thing about Colby Parkinson, I mean, I'm not advocating for the play here, but I can see the argument that McVay loves to scheme stuff for the tight ends, especially when he's down weapons. Tyler Higbee had some huge games last year of like 12 catches for 70 yards. Because I mean, it's just the easy. McVay's really good at designing those short routes for open receivers.
Yeah, I mean the game environment's good. Obviously, like I think he got 5, 6, or 7 targets in that game that Puka went down in. But like we talked about for pivots off of Yoshivas and Robinson, a guy this week that I think is a good pivot off of these 3K tight ends that are more popular is Luke Schoonmaker. So he's coming in at 1% at 2,900 on. We don't have icons for the Cowboys yet, but playing for the Cowboys, and the Cowboys are a team that like to use their tight ends in the red zone a lot. And last week, if you remember, tight end wasn't really a super pivotal position to get right, and I don't think it will be this week either. So Luke Schoonmaker at 2,900, just scoring you like one catch touchdown, maybe 8 yards or something, is totally fine. And he's coming in at 1% ownership compared to like Jordan Akins at 10 or Parkinson at 15. If they just have pedestrian games and Luke Schoonmaker has a pedestrian game, you know, you're saving money and leaping ownership there. So,
yep. Do you have an opinion on Mark Andrews and just the Ravens tight ends in general? I've seen people go back and forth this week about whether or not that was kind of just a week one overreaction. Why am I? On Isaiah Likely just having that huge game against Kansas City and Andrews doing nothing. Yeah. But then some people were arguing if you watch the film and they showed some clips of Andrews getting bracketed. So I wonder a little bit how much of that was just like a 1 week game plan / game state thing with Likely.
Yeah, versus... I think it's more of that 1 week thing. It was the same way on the other side of the ball with Kelsey and Noah Gray. I think we will see that sort of volume come back to Andrews. But speaking of the Ravens and the Raiders game, I like Brock Bowers on the other side of the ball at tight end.
Oh yeah, college football DFS legend Brock Bowers,
absolute legend. He got his targets. He looked pretty good, and he's going to be another low-owned pivot off of that mid-range sort of tight end. They could save you money off Trey McBride or somebody like that.
And if he pops off, we can make fun of Dan for being so anti Brock Bowers during the draft.
Exactly. Yep. Do you want to close it out here and just give like stack of the week and maybe like, I don't know, running back and wide receiver one off of the week?
Sure. Stack of the week. This is not the most likely to happen, but I think it's the most fun, is that Chiefs-Bengals game. I think everybody is done with the Bengals, and I don't think Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase are done. So let's roll with the Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, and then one of the Chiefs receivers bringbacks for my stack.
Right on. I'm going to get fun with it too. I kind of like playing Baker this week. And like I said, I kind of like playing him with Jalen McMillan as a low-owned pivot off of these other chalk receivers. So my stack of the week is going to be a Baker, Evans, McMillan stack with Alon Ra coming back.
I like it. That's fun.
Favorite wide receiver of the week? You got, other than your stack, a wide receiver of the week that you like?
I'd probably go right back to Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
CD's a good. I mean, that's it's really tough to say, right? I mean, I don't want to re-legislate everything, but Cup, Lamb, and Justin Jefferson to me are all just about equal, and so I'll take the lowest owned of them.
Right on. I even got a Baker stack for the win. I love it. I mean, Justin Jefferson, again, at low ownership. I won't take him because you picked him, but I think that's a great look this week. Let me filter down to the receivers here. I think if the Jets have a good game, Garrett Wilson is going to have another monster game. He looked elite. And if Aaron Rodgers can get him the ball, which he looks like he can, Alan Lazard doesn't look like he can really handle professional football. I think Garrett Wilson, if the Jets do well this week, I like Garrett Wilson as a pivot off of Breece Hall at massive ownership. Just go to a different form of the game, right?
Yep.
So I think Garrett Wilson's my go-to there.
Yep. You just need 2 slants in the red zone.
Yeah,
on the goal line. They're not afraid to do it. Rodgers would love to pad some stats. I love it as a pivot off Breece Hall.
For sure. Any other closing thoughts?
No.
Go Bengals for you?
Good. Yeah. Well, go Niners first and foremost.
First and foremost. Yeah.
But yeah, I'm hoping that Kansas City Bengals game doesn't disappoint this week. I think it'll be really fun if Burrow steps up. We kind of see some vintage Bengals, like they're all old.
You know, I'm with you on the Go Niners. Brock Purdy, Clones legend. So Go Niners for BCB. Sure. And then behind that, I think it's going to be a Go Bucks week for me.
Okay. Should be fun.
Right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure to check out our tools at AceMind.io and GetInLineups.com. Join our Discord, ask us questions, harass us, whatever you want to do. Good luck this week, and we'll see you next week.
All right, thanks, y'all.